The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. Doug Billings here with you, coming to you from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain. And today, I'm going to rip the mask off of one of Kansas' biggest taxpayer ripoffs in Kansas history. In the entire history of our state, there has been nothing as egregious as what I'm about to tell you. The Star Bond deal to bring the Kansas City Chiefs, their stadium, across the state line to Wyandotte County, and their practice facility to Olathe. Now, this is not about football fandom. This is about betrayal, cronyism, and the uniparty swamp in Topeka, selling out working Kansans to billionaires. And I want to give full credit where credit is due to Senator Mike Thompson, who has been one of the few honest voices in the Capitol. He's one of the good guys. In a recent newsletter, he laid this disaster bare in clear layman's terms. I encourage you to find the newsletter and read it. He voted no on HB 2001, which was the special session where the bill was rammed through. And Senator Thompson gave 8 reasons why this is a bad deal. So I'm going to walk through the most damning points of that newsletter and that news, because you deserve to know exactly how badly you've been fleeced. And folks, no matter where you live in this country, this issue applies to you. So don't think just because I'm mentioning Kansas that you can switch off or turn your back on the issue. Republican, conservative, MAGA, and American First conservatives need to be aware of this. And to get more information about this, there's 157,000 people waiting for you over on my YouTube channel. Go over there and subscribe. It's free. At the Right Side, Doug Billings. At the Right Side, Doug Billings on YouTube, and click the red bell so that you get notified whenever I drop new content like this. So what is a star bond? It is a corporate welfare, first of all. Corporate welfare. It's dressed up like economic development. Oh, that's what we're just going to develop the economy, Doug. And the state issues bonds to fund really big projects and then diverts in incremental steps the sales tax revenue that the state gets from a giant district, a tax-paying district, around that project, whatever it may be, to pay the bonds back instead of putting that money towards schools or roads or actual public services, okay? Now, that money is ours. It's tax money. It's our money. We'll get to that in a minute. Past examples of star bonds in the state of Kansas, the Kansas Speedway, Children's Mercy Park with their soccer facility and so forth, Prairie Fire, shopping and restaurant district in Overland Park, Kansas. And Senator Thompson said it very plainly, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to quote him. I have a philosophical distaste for corporate welfare. If a business has a good model, it should be able to survive without taxpayer subsidization. Amen, Senator Thompson. But this Chiefs deal takes the scam that we've witnessed to a whole nother level. HB 2001 let them finance up to 70% of the entire project cost with star bonds, okay? Way higher than the normal 50% cap for other projects. Now, who got to negotiate on our behalf when they sat down with the Kansas City Chiefs and their negotiating team? Ladies and gentlemen, I spent 23 years in corporate America negotiating billion-dollar deals. Union dues, hospital costs, salaries, benefits, operational costs, mergers and acquisitions, multi-billion-dollar collective bargaining agreements negotiated all the time. I have never seen such a one-sided, lopsided debacle in all of my life. So the governor, a commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat, Laura Kelly, had her team negotiate the deal on our behalf, okay? Basically handed the keys to the Secretary of Commerce, who was completely outmatched on this deal, folks. The Chiefs front office had spent decades playing this game. Hardball, and they played it with Missouri politicians, stadium experts, high-powered agents. They've done it all. They knew every trick. They knew every precedent from all of the other deals that they had bargained. and all of the other deals that they know about in their league, so to speak. So our side is completely out of their league. And the result is that Kansas taxpayers get taken to the cleaners. So here's just a few of the absolutely jaw-breaking specifics that Senator Thompson highlighted in this deal. Number one, they are unbacked bonds with sky-high interest, folks. These aren't just, the safe kind of bonds that are backed by the full faith of the state. They are riskier, so that when people who buy these bonds, they're going to demand much higher interest rates. Thompson used Prairie Fire as an example because their bonds, 7.25% yield, already are in default. So that's a realistic example. Now, you plug that into this Chiefs deal. That could cost Kansas roughly $189 million a year in principal and interest for 30 years. Total tab is around $7 billion for a roughly $1.8 billion commitment. And get this, the Chiefs only have to pay $7 million a year in rent. If they buy just one $100 million bond increment, and it's at 7%, they pocket $7 million in interest the first year, covering their rent. Your tax dollars literally pay their rent back to them, ladies and gentlemen. So that's not a deal, that's a heist. Now, the second thing, the sales tax base year is frozen. And to figure out what extra income or revenue for the bonds, they pick a base year, okay? And they freeze the state's share at that level forever. Everything above it goes to bond payments, no matter how high inflation or normal growth happens, right? So as sales tax naturally climbs over 30 years, the state keeps getting the same frozen amount while the excess pays the bonds, okay? That creates massive budget holes. They've got to be filled somehow, these holes, by jacking up property tax or income tax or cutting services. Future tax cuts, like the big property tax proposal that you're reading about these days in Kansas, forget it. The gap has to be backfilled somehow. The third thing is this massive new district that they've created gets a very tiny benefit because Wyandotte County is only a quarter the size of Johnson County, Missouri, and they had to draw an enormous star bond district to generate enough sales to cover the bonds. So it swallows all of Wyandotte County and big chunks of Johnson County, places like Shawnee, Lenexa, and Olathe. 15 to 20 games or events a year, ladies and gentlemen, in this new stadium. Those things will never generate the billions of dollars that we need in new activity. Never. So who pays? Well, as Senator Mike Thompson said, and I'll quote him directly, every person buying a burrito in Edwardsville or a lawnmower in Shawnee or groceries in Lenexa, you guys are paying for this thing. So don't believe the lie when the people who are in the elected class right now tell us you won't have to pay a dime in taxes for this deal. It's unbelievable how sometimes they can just lie right through their teeth. Your everyday purchases subsidize a billionaire sports owner and multimillionaire players. Most businesses in that giant district involving all of Wyandotte and portions of Johnson County get zero extra sales from the stadium. And the fourth thing is you layer after layer of subsidies that the Chiefs will get. Okay, it's not just star bonds. The Chiefs get what's called HPIP, okay, HPIP tax credits, a future state liability to us of $1.3 billion. And that still has to be paid out. Community improvement districts that slap an extra 2% sales tax on the top, pushing some areas over 11% of tax, and exemptions on NFL tickets. Exemptions on NFL tickets so that people at the game who have a ticket aren't even contributing to the bond repayment. That's madness. It's stupidity. They even get $3 million a year of your money to give away to their charities. Why? The fifth thing I want to let you be aware of is that taxpayers own the stadium, okay? The state of Kansas will own the new stadium and all of the headaches that go along with it. The state ends up owning it, all right? So that means we're responsible for decades of maintenance, repairs, inspections, upgrades, and eventually the day will come when we need to demolish the thing. So what are we leaving our kids and our grandkids? The term sheet for this contract even states that the state of Kansas will cooperate to achieve, quote, the chief's desired legal, economic, and tax outcomes. I mean, you got to, for a guy who's negotiated deals, okay, so we have agreed that whatever happens in the future, we will cooperate to achieve the chief's desired legal, economic, and tax outcomes on ownership of the team and the stadium and so forth. So they control third-party management, yet we have to pay the bills. No fund set aside for decommissioning, no guaranteed money for upkeep. Now they're talking about, I've heard that there's scuttlebutt of among the elected class about raiding the sports gambling fund or the lottery transfers in the state of Kansas, diverting money from other priorities just to keep the lights on at the new Chiefs Stadium. The sixth thing, this is a contract that involves 6 5-year deals, okay? There's a misconception out there like this is just one big, giant, beautiful bill, right? To coin a phrase. This is not one agreement. This is 6 separate 5-year deals. So every 5 years, the Chiefs can come back and they can demand sweeter terms, right? The final definitive document wasn't even due until late October, right? Long after the cities were asked to commit their local sales tax. Number 7, Missouri deja vu with Jackson County, right? Missouri spent decades, ladies and gentlemen, and billions of dollars propping up the Kansas City Chiefs. The team just walked right across the state line for a better deal. Loyalty? 0. See, folks, this is a business transaction for the Kansas City Chiefs. If Kansas ever becomes the more expensive option, they're going to leave us holding the bag just like they did with Missouri. And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us back to Kansas. This was the uniparty in action. This is what the uniparty looks like. You've got communist-socialist Governor Laura Kelly and RINO Senate President Ty Masterson and RINO Speaker of the House Dan Hawkins all in the same back room cutting secret deals behind closed doors and cutting Kansans out of the process. Masterson's running for governor. Are we going to reward someone like that with a higher office who's not transparent with us now? Hawkins helped to kill a fair redistricting vote that could have given Republicans a real edge, and he didn't want to put it up for a vote because, in his words, we had too many strong no votes. Well, look, the point is not being embarrassed by a no vote on the floor. The point is that the taxpayers of Kansas want to know which one of their representatives voted yes or no for the redistricting plan, Speaker Hawkins. So call the public vote. Damn this hiding the swamp from transparency. Let's shine some sunlight for once within the halls of Topeka on both sides of the aisle. Kansas needs a bold, populist, America First, MAGA political outsider. Someone who's actually fought the RINO elites and calls liberals what they are, commu-socialists. And someone who puts hard-working taxpayers ahead of billionaire sports team owners. Now, folks, like I said, I spent years negotiating billion-dollar deals in corporate America. No more corporate welfare in Kansas. No more secret deals. No more indentured servitude to billion-dollar franchises. Those days are over. That's the truth that we need to be bold enough and brave enough to say about what's happening in Kansas. Don't even get me started on one of the other governor candidates who purposefully had election ballots destroyed that could have been used to solve election fraud issues in the state of Kansas. I probably shouldn't say his name because that would be indiscreet. Scott Schwab. Scott Schwab is a swamp RINO member of government, the elected class. For years, he denied election integrity issues in the state of Kansas, and only now, since he's running for governor, is he talking about it. We have got to root these people out and make sure that Kansans take care of Kansans. Oh, Doug, we got to stop attacking fellow Republicans. The Democrats are the enemy over there. BS. We have got to call out the enemies from within. Reagan's final, what about Reagan's 11th commandment, Doug? Thou shalt not speak bad of Republicans. Fine. I'm speaking bad about RINOs. I'm not speaking bad about Republicans. I'm speaking bad about people who pretend to be Republicans. There's a huge difference, and it's about time somebody in government or running for office says it. You all deserve much better than what you've got. This election season is your chance. Senator Mike Thompson, thank you for being brave enough and being one of the good guys in all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, again, please head over to YouTube. There's 157,000 people waiting for you to join the channel. At the right side, Doug Billings. At the right side, Doug Billings. Once you subscribe, it's free. Click on the red bell to get notified for future drops of analysis about the state of play in Kansas and America. God bless you. God bless Kansas. We're in this together, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.